In 2026, a Formula One driver isn't just going to be a gladiator wrestling a carbon fiber steering wheel at 200 miles an hour.
No, not at all. They're basically going to have to be real-time electrical engineers,
Right. Managing this high-speed energy grid while, simultaneously trying not to crash into a concrete wall.
which is a terrifying thought.
It really is.
Yeah.
The image we all have of top-tier motorsport, pure mechanical brute force, metal, rubber, roaring engines, it's getting completely ripped up.
Thrown right out the window.
Yeah. So welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive. We are taking a massive stack of research today.
Some really dense stuff on this.
Oh, yeah. Technical breakdowns from Formula One, Sky Sports, ESPN, Motorsport Magazine, and our mission is to translate all of it into plain English for you.
Because there's a lot of jargon.
So much jargon. If you want to understand the monumental shifts coming to F1 without needing a PhD in aerodynamics, you are in the right place.
Yeah, because it really is a complete teardown of the sport's philosophy. I mean, to understand why they're doing this, you have to look at the current state of Formula One.
Which is, frankly, kind of bulky right now.
Exactly. The cars have just gotten massive. They are incredibly heavy, incredibly long.
Like boats?
Yeah. On tight street circuits like Monaco or Singapore, they look like speedboats trying to navigate a narrow canal.
And that leads to that processional racing where nobody can pass.
Right.
You just follow the leader.
Right. The FIA, the governing body, they knew they had to drastically shrink the footprint.
I was reading the Sky Sports breakdown on this, and they pointed out the exact physical changes. The 2026 cars are dropping 30 kilograms of minimum weight.
Which brings them down to, what, 770 kilos?
Yep, 770. And they're chopping 200 millimeters off the wheelbase, so they're significantly shorter.
And narrower, too.
Right. They're keeping the 18-inch tires, but they're making them 25 millimeters narrower at the front and 30 at the rear.
So when you are taking a corner at 150 miles per hour, peeling 30 kilos and all that bulk off the car, it completely changes the physical sensation of driving.
You're creating a vastly more nimble machine.
But shrinking the car is really just the appetizer here.
Yeah, the main course is what they're doing under the hood, which honestly creates a massive engineering problem.
It does. F1 is completely removing a component called the MGUH.
The MGUH?
Yeah. For years, this has been a cornerstone of their hybrid engines. It stands for Motor Generator Unit, heat.
Okay.
Essentially, it was this hyper-complex device that sat inside the turbocharger, capturing energy from the literal flaming exhaust gases.
Just wasted heat.
Right, wasted heat.
Okay.
And you use that to spin a turbine and generate electricity.
Wait, if it's capturing wasted exhaust heat and turning it into free horsepower, why on earth would they kill it off?
Because almost no one else on the planet uses it.
Really?
Yeah. F1 prides itself on pioneering technology that eventually trickles down to, the Honda Civic or Toyota Camry you drive to work.
Oh, I see.
But automotive manufacturers looked at the MGUH and decided it was vastly too expensive and just way too complex for everyday road cars.
So it had no real-world relevance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And manufacturers like Audi, who are entering the sport in 2026, they don't want to spend hundreds of millions developing it. So F1 scrapped it.
Okay, let's unpack this. If you rip out a highly efficient system that generates a massive amount of power from exhaust heat, you are suddenly left with a huge power deficit.
A massive hole in your performance, yeah.
The car is going to be significantly slower unless you find that horsepower somewhere else.
Which forces the massive pivot to a true 50-50 power split.
Right, half and half.
Yeah, the 2026 power unit relies roughly half on the traditional internal combustion engine, which, by the way, will run entirely on advanced sustainable fuels.
Oh, right, made from things like municipal waste and carbon capture.
Exactly. So half combustion and half raw electrical battery power.
And that heavy reliance on electricity dictates literally everything else about how these cars will race, how they pass, and how they defend. And that brings us to the elephant in the room. The way drivers pass each other is fundamentally changing.
Oh, it's a huge shift.
I think a lot of longtime fans are going to be shocked by this. The famous drag reduction system, or DRS, is dead.
It is entirely gone.
Wild.
Yeah. And to appreciate the replacement, we should probably define what DRS actually was.
Good idea.
It was introduced back in 2011 as a sort of Band-Aid for a specific aerodynamic problem.
The dirty air problem.
Exactly.
Yep.
Cars created so much dirty air turbulent wake that a chasing car couldn't physically get close enough in the corners to even attempt to pass on the straights.
Right. So the FIA implemented DRS. If you were within 1 second of the car ahead at a specific detection line, you got to press a button on your steering wheel.
And a flap on your rear wing pops open.
Yeah, which dumped a massive amount of aerodynamic drag, gave you a sudden burst of top speed, and just allowed you to blast past the leading car.
It was an artificial speed boost, but it was only given to the guy in second place.
Right, it served its purpose, but it was highly artificial.
Very. So in 2026, DRS is replaced by a completely new, pervasive aerodynamic philosophy. They're calling it Active Aero.
Active Aero, so this isn't just a passing aid anymore.
No, not at all. It is a dynamic system integrated into the basic functioning of every single car on the grid.
Oh, wow.
Instead of just a rear wing flap opening, Active Aero dynamically adjusts both the front and the rear wing simultaneously.
So we're no longer just giving a boost to the guy trying to overtake. Every single driver is doing this.
Every single one.
Think of Active Aero like a downhill skier.
Oh, I like this analogy.
Yeah, so when a skier is navigating tight slalom gates, they're standing up a bit, arms out, using their body and their skis to grip the snow through the turn.
Right, they need that friction.
Exactly. But the second they hit a straight downhill section, what do? They tuck in,
They get tiny.
they pull their poles tight, make their bodies as small and flat as possible, and turn into an aerodynamic bullet.
Oh.
Every F1 car now has to do that mechanical tuck.
That visual captures it perfectly. The regulations actually specify two distinct states for this.
Okay, what are they?
You have corner mode. In this state, the flaps on both the front and rear wings are closed.
So that gives you the grip.
Right, it generates maximum downforce, pushing the tires hard into the tarmac, giving the driver the grip they need to survive twisty sections.
And the other mode.
Then you have straight mode. When a driver hits a designated straight section of the track, the flaps open up.
Both front and rear.
Yep. This reduces the car's drag by a staggering 40%, allowing the car to slice through the air and drastically increase its top speed.
40% is huge. And looking at the track maps for 2026, these straight mode zones are everywhere.
They really are.
Take Melbourne's Albert Park circuit, for example. In the current era, they have 4 designated DRS zones where a trailing car can try to pass.
Right.
But in 2026, they've mapped out 5 straight mode zones, and anyone can use them. It doesn't matter if you are leading the race by 30 seconds or if you're dead last. If you're in the zone, you drop into straight mode.
What's fascinating here is the sheer scale of the neutralization. You are stripping away the specific aerodynamic advantage the trailing car used to enjoy.
Because everyone is doing it.
Exactly. If the leader and the chaser are both opening their wings and dropping their drag by 40% at the exact same time, the aerodynamic gap between them remains constant.
So you've effectively created a high-speed stalemate.
Precisely.
But wait, if everyone is in an aerodynamic tuck, nobody is passing. We've just created a 200-mile-per-hour traffic jam.
Pretty much.
So how on earth does anyone actually overtake in 2026?
Well, the FIA had to invent an entirely new mechanism to create a speed differential. Since they neutralized the aerodynamics, they shifted the battleground to the battery.
Oh, okay.
This is the true successor to DRS, and they're calling it, quite simply, Overtake Mode.
Well, I do appreciate them finally stripping away the jargon. It's a mode for overtaking, so let's call it Overtake Mode.
Keep it simple.
From the ESPN and Motorsport magazine breakdowns, the trigger for this actually mimics the old DRS rules, doesn't it?
It does. A chasing driver still has to get within 1 second of the car ahead at a specific detection point.
Okay, but instead of moving air out of the way, Overtake Mode is a pure electrical power punch.
Yes, pure voltage.
It instantly routes an extra 0.5 megajoules of electrical energy from the hybrid motor straight to the wheels.
Let's put some context to that number. Because half a megajoule of extra deployment translates to roughly an extra 67 brake horsepower.
That's a huge kick.
It is. It's on top of whatever the hybrid system is already outputting. But the mechanical genius of Overtake Mode isn't just the extra power, it's how the rules force that power to be delivered.
How do you mean?
The system is intentionally asymmetric.
Asymmetric. So looking at this asymmetric power delivery, does that basically mean the system is rigged against the leader?
Rigged is a strong word.
Like, does the leader's battery intentionally throttle itself while the guy behind gets full power?
I mean, rigged implies unfairness, but mechanically.
Yeah.
Yes, it actively favors the chaser at high speeds.
Why only at high speeds?
Because aerodynamic drag increases exponentially as you go faster. Pushing a car beyond 180 miles per hour requires an enormous amount of energy.
Makes sense.
So under normal rules, a leading driver's electrical energy deployment naturally tapered off as they reach those high speeds.
Okay.
Specifically, their electrical boost starts dropping significantly around 180 miles per hour or 290 kilometers per hour.
So the leader starts running out of breath just as the air gets thickest.
Precisely. But if you are the chasing driver who activated overtake mode, your electrical boost does not taper off.
Oh.
The rules allow you to sustain that maximum electrical power delivery all the way up to 209 miles per hour.
Which is 337 kilometers per hour.
Exactly. You get to keep punching through the air long after the leader's electrical assist is faded.
Wait, if the chasing driver gets this massive sustained electrical advantage just for being close, aren't we just replacing a guaranteed aerodynamic pass with a guaranteed electrical pass?
It sounds like it, yeah.
Is this just a video game push-to-pass button? Like grabbing a mushroom in Mario Kart, hitting the button, and blowing past your opponent?
It's a very natural comparison, but the reality is far more tactical than that.
How so?
Well, DRS was almost an inevitability. If you had the wing open, you were going to pass.
Right.
Overtake mode, on the other hand, requires active driver decision-making because that extra 67 horsepower doesn't just magically appear from nowhere.
Oh, it comes from the battery.
Right, it comes from the car's finite electrical reserves.
Yeah.
You might have the right to use overtake mode, but if your battery is empty because you drained it defending on the previous lap, pressing that button does absolutely nothing.
Which opens up a massive rabbit hole. You cannot use energy you do not have.
Exactly.
So if overtake mode relies entirely on having this massive reserve of electrical energy ready to deploy, where is it coming from?
This is the core of the 2026 driver experience. The energy economy.
The energy economy.
Yeah. Since they lost the exhaust-capturing MGUH, F1 had to drastically beef up the remaining electrical system, the MGUK.
And the K stands for kinetic.
Right, kinetic. It captures energy from the physical rotation of the rear axle. And the new 2026 MGUK is an absolute monster.
How big are we talking?
It provides triple the electrical power of the previous generation, outputting up to 350 kilowatts.
Let's translate 350 kilowatts so we can actually picture it. That is roughly 470 horsepower.
Yeah, it's massive.
F1 has essentially strapped the entire powertrain of a Tesla Model 3 Performance to the rear axle, and they're using it purely as a backup boost motor on top of a screaming internal combustion engine.
It's insane when you put it like that.
And the regulations state this kinetic motor supplies 8 megajoules of energy per lap. That is a staggering amount of electricity constantly flowing in and out of the battery.
It is.
How do they keep it filled?
Well, they have to recharge, which is a term you will hear constantly on broadcasts.
Recharge.
The primary method is traditional regenerative braking. When the driver stomps on the brakes going into a tight corner, the kinetic motor resists the rear axle, slowing the car down and converting that violent kinetic energy into electricity for the battery.
Kind of like how a Prius works, just way more extreme.
Exactly. But braking alone isn't nearly enough to capture 8 megajoules a lap.
So they have to alter their driving style. Teams use a tactic called lift and coast, right?
Yes.
Instead of staying on the gas pedal right up until the braking zone, the driver lifts off the throttle 100 yards early, letting the car coast and the kinetic motor harvest energy before they ever touch the brake pedal.
Which requires a lot of discipline.
But there is another term I saw in the Motorsport magazine source that sounds completely counterintuitive.
Let me guess. Super clipping.
Yes, super clipping. What is that?
Super clipping is a brilliant, if slightly unnatural, engineering solution. Imagine you're blasting down a straight at full throttle.
Okay, my foot is to the floor.
Right. You want every ounce of speed. But the engine mapping is designed to essentially siphon off a portion of the internal combustion engine's horsepower while your foot is still pinned.
Wait, it steals power?
It steals power from the engine at 190 miles per hour to actively top up the battery before you even reach the braking zone.
So you are intentionally sacrificing your top speed on the current straight just so you have enough battery life to survive the next corner.
Exactly.
That is wild. Okay, so we've established how you frantically fill the battery through braking, lifting, and super clipping. How else do you empty it, besides waiting for overtake mode?
Through a manual system called boost mode.
Boost mode.
Think of overtake mode as a highly regulated system. You have to be within 1 second. You have to be in a specific zone. Boost mode is the Wild West.
The Wild West?
Yeah, it is a manual override button available to the driver anywhere on the track at any time, as long as they have juice in the battery.
So they can just dump battery power whenever they want.
Exactly. A driver can use boost offensively, aggressively deploying electrical power to blast out of a slow corner and get the jump on the car ahead.
Or defensively, I assume?
Crucially defensively. If you look in your mirrors and see the guy behind you activating overtake mode, you can mash the boost button to deploy your own maximum combined power to fend them off.
Oh, wow.
But you are burning through your precious reserves to do it.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Managing this car sounds exactly like managing your smartphone battery on a long road trip when you realize you forgot your charger.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
Right. You look down, you're at 40%. You have to constantly make tactical choices.
Yeah.
Do I go into low power mode, turn down the screen brightness, and lift and coast for a few laps to recharge?
Yeah.
Or do I need to burn down 15% of my battery right now, put the screen on full brightness, use the GPS, and hit boost mode to survive a critical moment?
And you cannot just leave it on full brightness the whole race, or your car will essentially go dark.
Because the penalty for getting it wrong is severe.
Right? Oh, absolutely severe. If you mismanage your battery and run out of electrical energy on a straight, you aren't just losing a little bit of speed.
Because it's a 50-50 power split.
Exactly. If the electric half shuts down, your car suddenly loses almost 500 horsepower. It would feel like you deployed a parachute.
The driver behind you would blow past you like you were standing still.
In an instant.
Wait, if they have to constantly monitor battery percentages, negotiate super clipping, decide when to use boost, and calculate when to trigger overtake mode, aren't we just making these cars impossibly hard to drive for no reason?
It seems like it.
Throwing all this mental math at someone doing 200 miles an hour seems like a recipe for a massive crash.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the mental load gets even heavier when you realize what else F1 took away.
There's more.
We talked about Active Aero earlier, but the 2026 regulations also drastically altered the floor of the car.
The floor.
Current F1 cars use massive ground effect tunnels carved into the underbelly of the car. These tunnels literally act like vacuums, sucking the car tight to the tarmac and allowing them to take corners at unbelievable speeds.
And F1 is shrinking those tunnels.
Drastically.
Yeah.
Because F1 wants to reduce dirty air and make the cars nimbler, they've heavily restricted the size and power of the floor.
So they're losing downforce.
That means the 2026 cars are losing roughly 15 to 30% of their downforce. In motorsport terms, the drivers will be grip limited rather than power limited.
So the car is actively trying to slide away from them.
Exactly.
Let's put you in the cockpit to really understand this. Imagine going into turn 1 at Monza. You are decelerating from 210 miles per hour down to 40.
Right.
You're pulling 4 or 5 Gs, all the blood is rushing to the front of your face. Because you have 30% less aerodynamic grip, your tires are sliding, and the steering wheel is fighting you.
It's violent. And instead of just being able to focus purely on hitting the perfect racing line, your brain has to process. Did I superclip enough on the straight?
Do I have enough battery to deploy boost on the exit?
Is the guy behind me triggering overtake mode? Your brain is doing high-level resource management while your body is wrestling a mechanical beast.
It is a profound rewiring of the racing driver's brain. For the last decade, drivers relied on incredible aerodynamic grip to save them in the corners.
And DRS to save them on the straights.
Right. In 2026, they are driving heavily electrical, incredibly slippery cars. Driver skill, and specifically real-time energy awareness, is going to dictate who wins and who finishes 10th.
The era of the pure mechanical gladiator really is over. The 2026 regulations completely reshape the language and reality of racing.
Completely.
We are moving away from relying on aerodynamic band-aids like DRS, where you just moved air out of the way, and stepping into a deeply tactical electrical battlefield. Every driver gets active aero to tuck in and reduce drag. But to actually make a pass, you have to master the asymmetric power of overtake mode, selectively deploy your manual boost, and flawlessly manage your recharge through braking and superclipping.
It is no longer just about who has the fastest machine. It is about who has the smartest energy strategy.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating question to mull over as we head toward this new era.
What's that?
With the drivers now forced to act as real-time electrical engineers, constantly balancing harvest and deployment while wrestling a low downforce car at 200 miles per hour, will the 2026 world champion ultimately be the fastest pure driver on the grid or simply the smartest energy manager?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I cannot wait to find out how the grid adapts to that pressure. The mechanical beast definitely has a digital brain now. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you feel armed and ready to decode the sweeping changes coming to the track. Catch you next time.